people here. Would that cover it? Because it doesn't limit it to PTSD.
No, but it can affect people quite rapidly.
So I'm going to propose from the chair that it is the policy of Henley Town Council to encourage organisers of local events to consider using drone displays and other light shows as modern alternatives to fireworks because they are more environmentally friendly, do not cause spent waste to fall randomly, do not startle vulnerable people or animals, and can provide more visually impressive and flexible displays. Do I have a seconder?
Can I speak?
You can, of course.
Sorry.
You seconded it?
No.
Oh, okay, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Edison.
I'm not in favour of fireworks. I'm not against fireworks, but sort of sit in between. But it's been going on for generations after generation, and the thing is, where we've lost sight of the fireworks in the first place is they do fireworks on a regular basis now, whereas as I was growing up, you used to have a regatta week and everybody crammed down to the bridge and you see all the fireworks. Now that was spectacular because that's the end of the things, and then they got the festival and they have it every night and all the other stuff. So I think it's just gone too far one way. So if it was back to the normal way of where it was, just at the end of the regatta, having the firework display, or the end of the festival having the firework display, not every night, then I'd be in favour of doing that rather than sort of eliminate fireworks. So you reduce it down, and then in the infill of all that lot, having the light displays, the drones, and all the other stuff, which is all the fancy stuff.
Yeah.
So you just have it on the one night. So then you're cutting that back down from having it 7 nights just for that one night.
Thank you. They are quite fancy. I've seen a couple of drone displays and they are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that this council doesn't have any ability to limit or restrict firework displays of any events, especially those taking place in Berkshire and Buckinghamshire, which aren't even our jurisdiction at all. So that's why I've worded the policy as it is, to encourage the use of alternatives, not trying to restrict fireworks because we can't. Councillor Hamilton.
My view, and obviously I'm going to speak to this at some length, is to take a balanced approach, because we need to take a balanced approach. Now, you're absolutely right, Mr. Chairman. We as town councillors cannot say what happens in Buckinghamshire and Berkshire. We absolutely cannot say what happens on private land. All right. So, Fawley Court lets off fireworks, and they have done the last 5 years. The Wilminster estate has let off fireworks, thankfully. It has been, as Dave says, an end of regatta show. And it's a pretty show. And in the last 5 years, I will tell you, we have dumbed down the bangs on purpose because we are animal friendly. All right. And I'll add to that, the fallout from the fireworks that go off at the summer fireworks, as it were, the regatta fireworks, is less than a bag of cardboard. So there is literally no waste whatsoever. All right. Myself and Richard Reed go up there on the Sunday morning, and we always do it with a bit of a chuckle in our face, and we say, okay, let's see how much we've got to pick up. But no, there is literally less than a bag each of cardboard that comes out. So it's not a environmental problem from a cardboard point of view. That's the first point I want to make. The summer fireworks have been going on for many, many years, and my view is they should continue if they're supported. And if they're financed, and I've done for 5 years, I've raised it, and this council has been very kind in giving some money towards those fireworks, as is Wilkins, as is many, many businesses in this town, and it's fantastic what they do, because I think it's a tradition. I'm totally against fireworks going off in our parks, as it were, or what I would call spontaneous fireworks shows by individuals, and I will continue to support that because I think that is what's causing the problem. But if we have organised events where we dumb down the bangs, which is what we do, okay, there's one bang at the beginning and there's a finale, there's no bangs in between, then I think that is doable. And I think the town can deal with 20 minutes of fireworks. Where they can't deal with is the Colburn Fall Estate doing a bang and fire show, which happened last year, because that is where wildlife is sitting. And that is a problem. Okay, and I think what we need to do, rather than go with a blanket ban, to say, oh, let's ban.
This is not a ban. I must pull you up on that. This is not a ban.
Fine, Mr. Chairman. I'm saying what I'm suggesting we do is speak to the Coldham Four State, because that particular show is what I call a bang and fire show, all right? And it was good doing lockdown for some people, but it did cause a lot of problem to wildlife and farmers, particularly because it was in a bowl at the Coldham Four State, and the farmers up the top have horses, etc., etc. And that is a problem, okay? It is private land, so we cannot legislate what happens there.
I will read policy again before we vote on it, but I just want to be clear that we didn't mention any specific events. It's not about any specific events, and this is a positive policy to encourage alternatives. It is not anti-fireworks, and we obviously are grateful for any measures taken.
If I may finish, Mr. Chair.
If I may have finished, sorry. But
so I haven't finished.
Please be brief.
So I also think we should look to drones. The problem with drones is it's possible, but it is an expense, okay? And the type of show that I saw in Singapore 2 years ago, which I'm looking to bring to Henley in 2022 or 2023, is a drone show with 200 drones taking off from either from the Regatta Land or from the Ada Hersham estate. And that would be a wonderful event for perhaps for NHS workers and for key workers, etc. But the reality is, at the moment, we cannot legislate on private land. And what I think we should do is have a balanced approach to fireworks. We should not allow them in our parks, but I think that's an extent to which we should go to.
Thank you. There is no attempt to legislate on private land. Councillor Hinton.
If I'd have just spoken when I seconded, I would have saved us all from that waffle. The event at Coldham 4 that you're on about, I can remove it. The event at Coldham 4 that you're on about is, it did get a lot of criticism last year, and because of that, the Experience Henley released an article in March saying how the organisers had taken note of that and they were actually doing low noise fireworks. So to sit here and criticise them is a little bit unfair when actually they've responded really well and they're doing their bit. It would be great if other events decided to do the same thing. But they're all in different counties. You say we should look at drones. Who's this we? We don't have any events that we have any fireworks at. No, we shouldn't look at drones. We should just go on with the policy and move on.
Okay. Anybody else like to comment? Okay. I'm going to read the policy again before we vote on it so that everybody is clear. I propose that it is the policy of Henley Town Council to encourage organisers of local events to consider using drone displays and other light shows as modern alternatives to fireworks because they are more environmentally friendly, do not cause spent waste to fall randomly, do not startle vulnerable people or animals, and can provide more visually impressive and flexible displays. I have a seconder, so all those in favour? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You can have your evening back now.
That's fine.
Okay. So, agenda item 7, to approve the minutes of the Town Community Committee meeting held on Zoom on the 23rd of February 2001. Did anybody have any comments on that? Okay. And then we're just noting the minutes of Henley and Bloom and on the 7th of May, 19th of February, and the events meeting on 12th of March, and the market group meeting on 12th of March. Any comments on any of those? Okay. So, propose we approve. Seconded. All those in favour? Good. Carried. Thank you. Finances 2020-2021, to note the management accounts to April 2021, pages 22 to 23. Does anybody like to comment on this?
Actually, I'll make it an official minute. I see on here that we have under security CCTV costs for the town centre.
Yeah.
I'm expecting those CCTV quarterly reports we used to receive, and I want them as part of the agenda. And obviously, I've let the staff know this, but I think we should have it minuted as well.
Okay.
And I think that they haven't been on the agenda for ages. I've scoured those, so.
I believe it was presented at the last committee meeting. I might be wrong there, but I think
No, it was.
It might be
presented at the
verbally,
last
but it wasn't,
TNC.
it was certainly
May
not
not
on the
been here.
website, so I scoured all of them.
I believe it's included in the
Last
confidential.
That might be why,
Yes.
because I'm not on the committee, so I don't get the paper report, and If it's not on the website, that's why I couldn't find it.
It will be sent around by email or papers as well.
Why is it confidential?
I believe it was confidential because it gave details of particular operations that were taking place or kind of, areas of concern that we might not want to alert people who are people who are displaying antisocial behaviour to know about.
Fair enough, thank you.
Okay, let's note, we have to vote on that, do we? Because it's just a note. Thank you. Right, agenda item 9, time for fun and games. The appointment of subcommittees and working groups. To consider the appointment of subcommittees and working groups, their membership and their terms of reference for 2021, 22. That's on pages 24 to 29, which I'm going to turn to because I need to see these. Taking Henley and Bloom, I noticed that the events membership is not right here, so we'll fix that when we come to it. But is the Henley and Bloom accurate?
No, Councillor Ken, I would like to come off. Yeah. He believes he was on it ex officio, although it's debatable whether that's the mayor or the chair of the standing committee. And Councillor John Crick would no longer like to be on the committee. Okay. So there is a third councillor member required for it to be. Now,
Councillor Eggleton, you chair this committee, so you're going to stay on as a councillor, not as the deputy mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Hinton, you're staying on, and we've got one vacant space. Is anyone?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't obviously suggesting myself. The terms of reference states that the chair and vice chair of this committee are ex officio members. I believe, although I believe that is if they wish to.
Okay, yeah, so that's myself and Paula, ex officio.
Yeah.
Okay. No other councillors here want to join Bloom. Okay, but they can be voted on later, can't they? If some of the full council wants to.
Also, just to add, sorry, before I finish, that you will have seen from the Bloom minutes on May the 7th, the committee would like Nikki Schaefer's offer up to join the committee.
Yeah, okay.
And she would be one of the, they've already agreed to that, and that needs to be ratified by this committee. So we need to add her name to court members.
Okay. The other culture members is Caroline Langler, Catherine Mataris, Sally Rankin, Phil Sims.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, so
Sorry. Yes. Park Services on that though.
Their staff.
They're just us.
Oh, so they go in
already. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, so membership appears to be myself, Councillor Isaac ex officio, Councillor Eggleton, Kelly Hinton, cooperative members Caroline Langler, Catherine Torres, Sally Rankin, Phil Sims, Nikki Schaefer. Is that okay with everybody?
Sounds like a party.
Perfect. Got that? Perfect, thank you. Right, events. So Councillor Ken Arler, is he coming off perhaps? So down it as mayor and Councillor Eggleton's deputy mayor.
Yeah.
He's coming off.
That's what he said to me. I'm not double check.
Proposed councillor mayor.
The mayor and deputy mayor are ex officio members.
Ah, so Sarah and Michelle are on events.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which they would be.
Again, I believe it is if they wish to serve, they can opt not to.
We think Ken's coming on. Councillor Eggleton, are you staying on events? You are, aren't you?
Yeah.
Councillor Thomas.
I think the mayor was first. Would you like to speak first? No, after you. All I'd like to say is I'm quite happy to go on events, but my work hours don't allow me to meet at 10 o'clock in the morning.
For you, it's optional because you're on it by default as the deputy mayor. But you don't have to go.
I'd like to attend though,
Yeah.
but 10 o'clock in the morning I just can't do. At the time being.
So, is it a matter for the subcommittee to change its meeting times? It's not for us today, is it?
Yes, the subcommittee can determine when it meets.
Perfect. Okay, so that can be discussed at the subcommittee. Councillor,
yeah, I was just going to say that in our last meeting, we were going to co-opt Philip Radcliffe.
Yes.
Who
I did
That
hear
was
that.
agreed, it needs to be ratified, but they also need to add Richard Reed, David Roger Sharp, Freddie from the Art Gallery, and,
They're already on it though, aren't they?
but they're not here.
They're not listed here.
They're already on it, yes, but we need to fully ratify Philip
Does
Radcliffe.
Freddie still wish to be on, because he's actually not attended what meeting? I don't know whether.
And Jim Snedden's on it as well.
I don't know if it's.
So we can add Philip Radcliffe today to be ratified later.
No, that's being ratified today, events have already
Okay.
Yeah.
suggested it.
Okay, perfect. And then David Roger Sharp, the other ones.
Richard Reed,
Richard Reed.
Freddie from the Art Gallery, I forget his
Jim
surname.
Snedden is on it.
Jim Snedden,
Yeah,
there's one more.
Jim Snedden and
Glenn.
Bradley.
Paul's been trying to speak for a few minutes.
Is she? Sorry, Paula. That's right.
Did you say there were names missing for the events?
Yes, all the co-opted members were missing, and
I
so
think I
was
was on
Councillor
there.
Miller.
Yeah,
You were.
And I'm happy to stay on there, but if there's someone that wants to jump in and have a go that hasn't, I'm happy to come off. So.
Dave, did you not want to be on events, because you're at the moment you're on it ex officio, but
No, I
then,
said I'd stay on with it.
yeah.
Right, okay, so I think it's going to be Councillor Eggleton, Councillor Crook, Councillor Hinton, Councillor Isaac, Councillor Miller and Thomas ex officio, and then the co-opted members Philippa Radcliffe, David Roger Sharp, Richard Reed, Jim Snedden, Freddie
From the gallery. No.
Freddie from the gallery. Okay,
Which gallery?
Freddie's, I don't know.
and then if more people need to be added, the committee itself can do it, or if we've forgotten someone.
And then it'll be ratified here.
The only the parent committee can determine the membership.
But they can recommend one and we
They can
approve
recommend
it.
it.
Okay. Is that okay, Nikki? Perfect. Okay, working group. So these all correct? Bus working group. Is everybody happy with the membership of that one?
Can you take me off the bus one?
Yeah. Councillor Eggleton to come off buses. Anybody else? On or off?
Just a question, does the bus working group need to be set, given the bus is up and running and working quite fine? The agenda item can come to this committee and be discussed by this committee, but I don't think now, in the same way as the town steering group, which I know Councillor Riceman will want to speak to shortly, perhaps the bus working group has done its job and perhaps we should move on. If there isn't, if halfway through the year we need to have a bus working group, then bring it back. I just think we set these committees up and perhaps they've done a job and they then stop or pause.
You
and
may
then
be
they come
right.
back.
I've never attended this committee and I don't know about it, so I wouldn't feel qualified to comment.
If I may, I would tend to agree with Councillor Hampton. It was originally set up to establish the bus service. It's continued in existence because of issues that we have with it. The bus service is now working. No doubt it will need reviewing and looking at how we can improve the service. However, it would be my opinion that we probably do not need a separate group to manage it at the moment, and it could be an ad hoc meeting when it does need to be reviewed.
Councillor Iceman.
It could also be considered as part of the transport group, which Councillor Gavishak also heads. It may be that it belongs there, but there is one aspect of the bus working group which we haven't discussed, and that's marketing the bus service in order to improve take-up and be able to expand it. Where will that
That
happen?
fall to Naomi.
It can come to this committee. It might be.
Well, do we want a working group, or do we want a transport group, or do we want it just to happen with the officers reporting to this committee?
So the marketing would be dealt with by or be led on by Helen Barnett in correspondence with Naomi Hutchinson, Communications Manager, with reports coming back to this this committee. Of course, if the committee felt that a group of councillors was also needed to give its input, then of course it could arrange a separate meeting as well.
Okay. Councillor Hinton, do you want to speak?
Yeah, just to confirm that Councillor Arlett would like to come off of all the committees that he was ex officio on, and that includes Lou.
already had him off Bloom.
Yeah.
So, okay, great.
So going back to
Oh,
the
and
bus
Donna
work,
said she was never on events.
She's now.
She said she was happy to make
She's
it.
gone. She's gone. And if you go, you get given a job.
going back to the bus working group, can we defer anything pending discussions with Councillor Gavishak and the marketing report coming back from Naomi and others back to this committee, where we can reconsider whether or not there is a role for that group. At the moment, I think we should leave it. But of course, that can be revisited if the need arises.
I definitely agree with the sentiment of not having a committee for committee's sake, but I think the right people are not here to disband that committee today. So can we leave it as is for now and disband it later if we wish?
Certainly, I think the default would be that if it isn't constituted, because it was only constituted for the previous municipal year, then if it isn't reconstituted, it is automatically disbanded. But actually, so the result is the same. Of course, this committee can always reconstitute it at any time, and
we can disband it at any time as well.
But it has been disbanded by nature of the fact that it's only constituted for the previous municipal year.
Would anybody like to make a proposal?
Yeah, I'll propose we disband it until we need it. And maybe in October or December, we might reform it. But for the time being, at the end of the civic year, disbands it. And I propose that we don't reconstitute it at this current time.
I'll second that, amending the words to say that we defer establishment of it pending further consideration.
Accept the amendment?
Yeah.
You were seconding Councillor Hamilton's proposal?
Yeah.
Okay, so Councillor Hamilton's proposal with Councillor Riceman's amendment. All those in favour? Perfect. Okay. Signage. Is everybody happy with the membership of that group? Is that accurate? Anyone comments?
Can I go on? Or is there too many?
It says
Well,
on the
Councillor
terms
Arnold's
of
coming off,
reference.
so he can take his place.
I'm not sure about Ian.
Can I just raise a query? In the, on page, under town centre signage, it says the transport group of Councillor Gavishak are responsible for highway signage and the walking paths. Can we confirm that? It's in the notes here, page 48.
48 is a long way from 24, which is what I'm looking at.
The signage working group is responsible for tourism signage, so as long as you agree with that, that's fine. Just seems odd.
It says under note 3, the signage working group is responsible for tourism and signage around the town only.
Yeah, so that's what the working group will focus on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, Councillor Eggleton's going on signage.
Yeah.
So the other members are Councillor Clark, Councillor Hinton, Councillor Hooper, Councillor Gavishak, Councillor Miller. Sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. Last one is markets. Current membership is Councillor Eggleton, Councillor Hillier, Councillor Hinton, Councillor Miller. No cooperative members. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I haven't been on town community for a few years, so I don't understand how I've ended up on all of the subcommittees, but so I'm happy to exchange my place on markets if somebody else would like to go on it, but I'm happy to stay on it if not.
I'm happy to go on markets instead of Councillor Hinton.
There we are.
Councillor Hamilton to go on markets. Okay. I think so. If you manage to follow that, Nicky, I don't want to read anything back. Excellent. Okay.
I would like to form the waste working group again. I think it's really important that we look at that, including litter and bins, plastic waste, commercial waste, residential waste. We haven't formed it here, but I do think we should form it and offer the councillors that wish to be on it, at full council to go on it who wish to. I'm certainly would like to be on it. I think it's a really important committee. Only a small group, but it reports to this committee.
Sorry, I know this isn't part of the agenda item, but we have got some announcements coming up about progress reports at some point very soon. So perhaps we could just hold off on that one until that's all sorted out. It'll be coming forward
We do
to
that
all of the
before council
committees.
if you want.
It'll be coming forward to all of the committees.
And the for any subcommittee of this committee, they should be. It is for the committee to delegate its functions to other bodies and not for council. So yes, it should be this committee that decides it. However, that's not to say that it can do this at the next meeting, and because it's only a working group that only makes recommendations, then there's no reason why those members couldn't meet informally anyway.
I suggest that we do the same as we have done with the bus working group and just defer that one.
I think it's important that we constitute.
I'm not saying it's not important, I'm just saying.
We've got something coming forward. I
I
think
know,
we'll be
I
excited
hear what you
about.
say, I hear what you say, but I think it's important that that group is constituted and they report brought forward on commercial waste particularly.
I think, Mr. Chair, we do, setting up a group without having a clear idea about the objectives of the group, the problems that it's trying to sort out, and clear terms of reference. I think setting up a group would be very unwise.
Yeah, it feels premature just to do it on the spot here.
I think we should firstly look at the problems we're trying to solve,
Yeah.
and the scope of the group and its responsibilities and objectives. And I think without those, the group should not be established.
Okay,
I'll bring the terms of reference to the next committee.
that's fine, thank you, thank you. So I propose the membership of the subcommittees as discussed. Seconded?
I have to second that, apart from the fact that we have to do the town steering group as well.
Now,
I'm not sure.
I would like to propose that we establish it and finalise the membership at a future date, either for council or future meeting of this committee. So so I'd like to approve that it re-establish on the current terms of reference membership to be completed over the next cycle. It's important that we do that because there are developments coming on the provision of end-of-life palliative care beds in South Oxfordshire. The town steering group have been approached as part of the public engagement that's taking place by the CCG, who do have proposals, and it's important that there is an ability on the part not just of Henley but a broader community, such as the town steering group represents, with 26 parish councils. It's important that group is engaged and has the credibility and authority to be consulted in that way.
Councillor Hamilton, are you seconding that?
No.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Isaac. Councillor Hamilton, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I think. Sorry. I think the town steering group has done a fantastic job in the past, but it needs to be updated. All right, and I'm well aware of the report that's come forward to this committee, but I've always said that issues with Townless Hospital or palliative care, and I'm really conscious about palliative care and ensuring that people at the end of life have the choice of either to die at home or to die within an environment that they so wish, that should come to this committee as a town steering, as a Townless Hospital, and this should be discussed with all this committee around this table, because it's important. It shouldn't be delegated to a working group. So in the same way as the waste working group has been deferred to the next month to be discussed, I would suggest that the town steering group is exactly the same. That it should be, that Councillor Riceman should look to update the terms of reference. It's done a fantastic job in the past, don't get me wrong, but it needs to be updated and then brought back to this committee so that we can set it on a course where it works with the other organisations, including Froth, including the NHS, including all the other organisations in healthcare. We are a consultee in the process. We are not a deliverer of healthcare. And that is a key point that needs to be updated within the TSG, in my view.
Would you like to propose an amendment?
I propose that Councillor Roseman updates the TSG for the future rather than the past, and that he brings the terms of reference back to the next committee.
I think it makes perfect sense for the town steering group, as it reforms, to reconsider terms of reference. They're 3 years old. From the last ones that were approved from 2018. I think they're perfectly adequate. but the group, the town steering group itself, with the specialism and the experience of people who are on that, is best placed to suggest any amendments to that. As they stand, they are fine for the work that is identified, and time does not allow. The CCG want to progress quickly with their public engagement, their community engagement, and the town steering group needs to reform soon within that cycle in order to be able to respond effectively.
Councillor,
Can I ask who is on the group? That's all right, sir.
Well,
the membership is to be.
Unfortunately, I intended to look up the members from before, and I haven't done that.
So you said in your original proposal that the membership was to be determined over the next 6 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we should go to the previous. We should go to the previous representatives, the community representatives, and ask them if they wish to continue standing. Such as Peter Ashby, Valerie Razia, Robert Aitken, and so on. We should approach Froth and ask them for a representative. It's probably Robert Aitken this time, who's now secretary of Froth, and a long-standing member of the town steering group. We have Councillor Gavishak, who's a long-standing member of the town steering group, and with me met with the clinical commission group last week. So he would be a very suitable county council representative. Councillor Hinton would be a very suitable district council representative, and we could appoint our own 4 councillors. Or make suggestions now.
But that membership is to be determined.
Yes.
Is it reconstituting? Is that the word?
Yes, I believe.
Okay, so
it would be. Yes.
I propose we leave it until next, bring it back with the terms of reference and the right people.
well, we have the terms of reference here, don't we? But you're saying
We don't have the right people, we don't have it future-proof. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay. Well, I've just been updated, which was the original proposal. All those in favour? Perfect, thank you. Right, I think that is the end of that agenda. Is it not? I think it is. To receive and note a report from the neighbourhood policing team, which is in the agenda. Read this. Did anybody else have anything to say? I did have a couple of things I wanted to highlight in here, which are particularly good.
Can I highlight something while you're looking?
I'm going to highlight things first.
Oh,
Because so I particularly like the second from last paragraph on page 31, which is in addition to the neighbourhood policing team, I'm pleased to inform the residents of Henley that as of the 1st of May 2021, 24-hour response officers are once at Henley Police Station in Grays Road. I think that is something that everybody is going to be very happy with, and we make a minute of that, maybe. That we're very happy with that. Thing. I'll leave it to somebody else.
no, you were right to do it first. That's exactly what I was going to highlight.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm also pleased to see that. I just think I should congratulate Matthew Barber on becoming the PCC, if I may. There was a lot of talk yesterday, but he wasn't mentioned. He's a fantastic guy. He's really open. He's very strong on crime, and you'll be great for Henley, and we should be really pleased that he's been appointed. So thank you very much.
Can I just respond to that? It's interesting that Councillor Hamilton should praise the election of Matthew Barber. But given Councillor Hamilton's regular position on council tax, I wonder why he's happy that someone who's been elected who's presided over a 6% increase in the police Thames Valley police portion of our council tax over the last year.
It's a good point.
I will respond to that
We'll leave
if I
the
may.
ticking right there if we can.
Hang on,
Councillor
Glenn.
Eggleton. Councillor Eggleton.
There's one thing, the Fridays and Saturday nights are a bit of an issue, but the police are normally floating in and around the town. So, and I was told by Barbara that there are extra police being drafted, especially to Henley. One of the things, because I do street watch on Fridays and Saturdays, one of the things is a lot of people tend to congregate in the town centre, and a lot of them got bottles of alcohol and stuff like that. There is signs, and the police did say that could it be possible to put more signage up with these about not drinking in the public areas in the town, because there's teenagers going around the town drinking and walking out the pubs with their alcohol and all that sort of stuff.
I'm wondering if that's a consequence of the lockdown restrictions, which have just eased.
It's
I think
been
that's another
happening
thing
for a
we should
long,
pay
long-
attention to over time, perhaps.
It's been happening for a long time. They go to off licenses and then they come up to the marketplace and they're drinking, but you have got signs up there, so there's no alcohol to be consumed in the marketplace. It's just having a few of those signs up around the town, so it's people know.
We're not going to do that today, though. Councillor Thomas.
I think it would be really helpful to have the police come and chat to us again. The last time they came was 2019, and I think councillors found it really
They're
useful.
online, they can come on Zoom as well.
Yeah, I think the last time I was here was 2019.
Do you think we'd be able to get that organised?
We all.
They will come every, they do a report, or they will do it depending if what their manpower is. If they've got things happening and they can't come, they send us reports.
Yeah.
They can come, they've got
They are
manpower
quite
available.
often
They
listed
will
as
come to the
company.
meeting. They did do a Zoom, they come on one of the Zoom calls.
The other thing I was going to highlight was that there has been a significant reduction in offences of theft from motor vehicles across Henley. This has been achieved not least by securing a criminal behaviour order against a prolific criminal, giving him conditions not to enter Henley. I believe there's another one mentioned further down. A lot of this behaviour has been captured on people's own domestic CCTV, where they've got cameras pointed at their driveway, and these people have been caught and identified immediately. And I think it's been really, really helpful for reducing this type of crime in the town, that people have had these modern doorbells that film the driveway and other CCTV cameras on their driveway protecting their cars. Maybe we should have another policy to encourage that, but maybe not today. Anybody else want to have a comment on this agenda item?
Just, I agree with the extra signage like Councillor Everton was saying, but if you want to get through to young people, you need to get through to their devices, you need to pay for an add-on, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever it might be. And the police have the power and the money to do that because of the council tax increase, right, Ian?
I think according to young people, only old people use Facebook.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I think we should continue to support the police. The signage actually comes from SODC in terms of the licensing, so if we can continue to do that. They have to deal with some really, really tricky things in and around Henley, some nasty things as well. And but we need to do everything we can to support them. And I'd just like to, I think it's great that councillors can feed back to Barbara any feedback they get, and just would like to thank them for all the hard work they do.
That's great. I think we recently actually formed a signage working group, so maybe we can come through on that subcommittee. Yeah. Councillor Miller.
I'm just wondering, I'm on the signage group, but would signage, would it work with the kids today? Would it, if you're going to go, they're bored, I know, lockdown has caused all kinds of problems, and they want to get out, and so they'll go and get a bottle, whatever. I just wonder if more signage is really the way forward on this. I don't know. Anything to help, but I just wonder if kids today are actually going to look at that and say, oh dear, that sign says no, therefore I'm not going to open this bottle of sherry.
Councillor Thomas.
Look, if young people are going to drink, they're going to find a way of doing it, and I agree. I think they're not going to look at any signs. Back in my day, what used to happen was there were a lot of police around, and the police would come and have a word with the young people. We don't have police on the community policing anymore.
Councillor Eggleston.
Do we?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Sarah, Councillor Miller. I was going to say it again. Sorry, I really apologise. I don't like signage and all that sort of stuff, but unfortunately, if the police want to enforce it, which the police do enforce it, you have to have signs, because if you haven't got signs, you can't enforce a situation. So as much as they're not going to read it, or things like that, if you haven't got it, then you can't enforce anything.
They just need to have a chat with them. No,
I do chat with them. I chat with them on every Friday and Saturday night. So
not you, police.
I hope that the fact
But
that
it's
they are
great,
now
yeah.
using the Grays Road Police Station again will help with this, and will help with the police presence in town and the public perception. I think it's all good news, this report. I think
it is good.
And our task here today was to receive and to note it, and we've definitely done that. So I'm going to move on now to agenda item 11, the communication manager update. Receive and to note report from the communications manager, Councillor Miller.
I would just like to very quickly say huge congratulations to our communications manager. Huge congratulations to our communications manager. I think what she's done with our website so far is fantastic. It's a fresh, informative, good-looking website. It's not too text heavy. I think it's easy to navigate. And yeah, I mean, obviously there are going to be some snags, but yeah, I think it's a great start, and it's just what we, the council, need. So thank you to communication, to Naomi, and to everyone involved in getting the website up and running.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add? See none. Do you have something to say on that?
Yeah, I think Naomi's doing a fantastic job. I would just say that I think the website's brilliant. I think No Lawrence has commented on already. I'll just ask her to focus slightly more on revenue building ideas, so hanging baskets and things like that, because we brought her in, and it's fantastic she's here, but I'd just like to focus us slightly more on revenue generating ideas. That's all
I'm entirely sure it's a job description, but that's up to you to manage, isn't it?
Certainly, marketing of
hanging baskets and that kind of.
marketing of council assets is certainly part of her remit. During COVID, there has been limited need. However, moving forward, something I think that we can certainly be generating a lot more revenue from our assets, and we should be in order to provide the best value that we can, whilst keeping the precepts as best we can.
Okay. Starting with the putty green hat.
Indeed.
Councillor Hinton.
I wasn't going to speak because I didn't want to make the meeting longer, but some people have the sound of their own voice and keep talking, so I might as well make the meeting longer anyway, because I'm going to be here all night, it
I
seems.
can't hear you, Councillor Hinton.
So I think Naomi's been doing a great job on Facebook, and everyone should share the Town Council Facebook, because it's got a pathetic amount of followers at the moment, and it should be doing better because the content on there is much better now that Naomi's taken over it.
Right, I'm going to move on now to agenda item 12, street cleaning. To receive and note an update report on the street cleaning contractor, pages 33 and 39. Anyone have anything to say? Councillor Eggleton.
Some of the places that do it, it's a lot better than down by Starbucks. The thing is we've discussed this quite a few times, and we don't seem to be doing anything. We seem to be cleaning. We don't seem to be repointing or regrouting the slabs, where a lot of the slabs are all coming loose. And if you don't repoint them while it's warm and dry now, when you get to the winter and the water goes back through those slabs, you'll have a lot more slabbing coming up. So I think I've discussed it, God knows how many times. If we can get a contractor in to repoint, there's no point in keep cleaning stuff if all the slabs are loose. And jet wash, it's not the best if you've got loose, because it just blows all the grouting out, all the pointing out. So we need to get someone to have a look at all the loose slabs, and especially in the marketplace.
General maintenance, though, isn't it? We don't need to do anything specific for that.
We do have, I believe, a small earmarked reserve for repointing of the slabs, although it should be noted that as a public highway, it would usually be the responsibility of Oxfordshire County Council. However, it is something that this committee has expressed a strong interest in doing before, and I believe it is on the list to be done, and hopefully it will be coming towards the top of the list. Although Nikki might be able to provide more of that data.
I've had one quote in so far, it was in the region of £30,000.
To reappoint.
So we are looking for it's a lot of money, so just as long as you're aware, if you want it done, it's going to cost a lot of money. That was one of the quotes, and yeah, I'm waiting for a couple of us to come in, so, but it's not going to be cheap, it's going to be expensive. Just so we're aware.
Marvellous. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, we've spoken about this on this committee for a good 9 months now, and we need to get to the bottom of it. It is the county council's responsibility to provide the pavements, and but we have fantastic Yorkstone. The investment in that Yorkstone was amazing. It looks really good. If you go outside Lawrence's menswear, you will probably trip up at the moment. It is a trip hazard that needs to be sorted out, and I think that we should prioritise this. No one's mentioned the town clock yet, but I think this runs just behind it.
I can give you an update on that as well if you like, but it's RNA, so you'll have to come there for it.
Sure. Did anybody else have anything to add on street cleaning before we move on? It's just a receiver to note. So none. Okay. Agenda item 13, bins. Receive an update report on refurbishment and replacement of the heritage bins in the town centre. Now, has everyone seen the bins downstairs by the lift? Everyone? Oh, no, great. Yes, perfect. Okay. I was really impressed by the job done by the internal team.
Which one that is? The left hand.
That's the one.
It was the shinier bin on the left.
The left hand bit is the one.
Yeah. Is that one your favourite as well? In that case, I'm just going to propose from the chair that we accept recommendation 6.4 and refurbish all the bins at a cost of £3,870 plus any additional works needed to replace hinges and liners, I think. Hinges and catches, it says here.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, all those in favour? Oh, hang on. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, that is carried.
I hope that ends bin gate.
All those opposed? I think that has ended bin gate.
Can I ask one question? I know we've done that, but
Yeah.
does that mean that we can't have any larger bins anywhere? For instance, like by the rugby club or where Councillor Eggleton suggested that
I
we did a
think
larger
we
bin?
absolutely can, and I think that should just come on another agenda.
Yeah.
And we can do that separately.
Because I still think that there are areas in Henley where we need bigger bins.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, Councillor, but this agenda item was about whether to refurb or replace all the
Okay,
bins, so,
fine.
but yeah. Councillor
I think, yeah, I agree with the Mayoress. Madam Mayoress. I will get it right. In some areas, but rather than just going out and saying, oh, let's put a big bin in here and let's put a big bin in here, let's get Ady that's on the street. He knows where, if you do a survey over a year, over this next year, probably not the best time to do it now because you still got all this takeaway stuff. Once you sort of come out of that or towards the end of the year, do a survey, and he's the best person to say this bin is getting filled up quite regularly. And like the lady said earlier, certain bins get filled up quite early. Look at that, do a proper survey, so when we do put something a bit slightly bigger in a place, it is going to be used to its capacity.
I think AD has always been involved in the conversations with the bins. He's certainly the first person I think we discussed with about this. So, but no, absolutely.
He can tick all the boxes, and then we're not wasting money on putting something which is not going to be underused, and then putting it in the right place. So if we do a proper survey, and
can I just make one final point?
You did put your hand up first.
Councillor Hamilton referred to being the end of bin gate. It's not the end of our review or our monitoring of the way that bins are used in the town. And unfortunately, member of the public's now gone. I wanted to say that she made some good points, and we should be aware of that. As the decision that we've taken beds in, and make sure that there is the capacity there in the bins. And if there isn't, that we review it and make sure that is attended. And so I hope, and so it should be. We haven't just left this ignoring the points and concerns that have been raised, we will continue to look at the issues of bins and litter and refuse in the generated by people in
At a subsequent meeting.
Sorry?
At a subsequent meeting, it isn't today.
Yeah, we've made our
Not
decision
on this
today. I think we should move on.
Councillor Hinton.
Yeah, I think we should also be mindful of muddying the waters. It's already really hard. It's already really hard enough for people to understand and differentiate between the responsibilities of the different local authorities. And this is something that's really not helped. And we are not responsible for collecting the waste from any of those bins or capacity of them. And just because we might want to pay for the iron bins, I think we should also be mindful of that. I'm fully up for talking about bins with SODC and the parks manage bins and stuff like that. I struggle talking about this kind of bins. I find it less interesting, but I think we should be mindful of what we're actually responsible for here as well.
Yeah, fine.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
So I've got one further point. We do have a spare bin because we've taken one away from Starbucks. And I have had a request that that bin be put on a trial basis outside the top shops. I do think that bin could sit there as a trial, but
we can't do
if
that.
I could
I've got
fit,
news
if
from
I,
SODC, so it trumps what it says.
if I could speak.
Go ahead, you're
I've
awful enough.
request has been made that a bin goes outside the top shops, and I think it's a perfectly good place. As we've got a spare one at no cost, I
I'm
think we
pretty
can
sure
put it.
that's private land and we can't do
Yeah,
that.
it is.
That's right.
Yeah, not
Exactly.
shop.
Which I would have
Hang
said.
on.
Go on.
Okay, you know everything, go ahead.
It is private land, but what I want to request is that on a trial basis, we put it there to see how it goes.
We can't do that without permission of the landlord.
We can speak to the landlord.
We can speak to the landlord, but that is not on the agenda. And I'm going to move on now. Please, by all means,
Do
bring
you
it
want the
to a
truth?
further
Do you want the
committee.
actual why it can't be done? So basically, yes, there has been an increase in the two other bins that are local to that area since the Top Shop removed their bin, and the Top Shop currently are refusing to put that bin back in because they said it generates too much litter. However, that's the exact one it needs to be. It's generated more litter without it.
Yeah.
SODC, not being the owners of that bin, obviously aren't going to install a bin there on private land, but what they can do under environmental law is enforce it and make the shop put the bin back. So that would be the best course of action. We were emailing about this back in at the beginning of April. It's still being monitored. This weekend I met Glenn Lambert. Sorry, Councillor Lambert up there. And the bins were overflowing then, and you'd highlighted that had actually been 3 days by that point.
That's
So
right.
now that we've seen that it is continuing to be a problem and affecting the other bins, SODC can now action that. It's been on the radar, and that's why.
Is there something you're able to drive through?
Yeah, absolutely, and Councillor Arlett's been really on top of bins as well.
Thank you
so.
very, very much.
Can I just add one thing to that?
Really
I-
fast, because
yeah,
we voted on this like
I know.
15 minutes ago.
It's, I can understand by putting a bigger bin out there because with those two bins where you live, on that bit, that's always overflowing, and the one on the top, on the other corner. And then, yeah, putting a bigger bin in there would probably solve that thing. Or, like Kelly said, that if there's one put in the shopping thing, because they do buy a lot of stuff in that shop and sit in the car park and eat it and drink and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're aware that there's bottles and all sorts of stuff around that. And I have picked it up quite a few times, but if Kelly
We've got a spare, so it's used. Yeah, we can offer them a spare. Anyway, I'm definitely moving on now. I'm not looking at any more hands. Agenda item 14, bus shelters. Little one, to appoint contractor to clean the 12 town centre bus shelters, and 2, to approve the removal of the shelter from its unused location, Western Avenue, for re-installation elsewhere. I mean, I'm happy to just propose we go with the recommendation of both of those at once. Seconded. Anybody want to speak?
Has Councillor Crook stopped cleaning on herself now?
I believe so. Having received little thanks.
Well done, yeah, I was going to say well done for cleaning up on your feet too.
Councillor Eggleton.
where's this one? Is there a location that it can be used?
There was a proposal, but I don't think it's been decided yet. I did see a proposal.
Could I add to that proposal that when locations been found for this to be relocated, because otherwise it will get taken out, put somewhere and never used.
Right.
And we've already paid for it, I think.
So the recommendation is that the unused shelter be moved from its current location in Western Avenue to a location decided by members of this committee, but it doesn't have to be today.
Well, yeah, as long as that's, when it's taken out.
So,
I think, was it the mayor, sorry, the ex-mayor Ken suggested it went down to the football club?
AFC Henley,
Yeah.
it's mentioned.
yes, that was it, yeah.
Yeah, I know that it was going to go to AFC Henley
Yeah.
What was a dugout?
on the touchline, yeah. Yeah, literally, as a what's the name, yeah, substitute thing.
Perhaps we should auction it, see if we can make any money.
That's a really good idea, Councillor Hooper.
Yeah. I think that's what it was going to be down there.
Is that a proposal?
Yeah.
Do you have a seconder? Yeah, many seconds. I don't know how this is going to go. So all those in favour of 5.1 to appoint the existing cleaning contractor and to move the bus shelter to AFC Henley as proposed. All those in favour? Carried.
You won't get a bus going down there, you know.
No, I'll tell you what, they went on Mer's basket, he's going to get bloody out of the rain.
Right, agenda item 15 fireworks we have dealt with. Agenda item 16 progress reports. I'm going to have to lean on something else. About anything to add to this at this time? If anybody would like to comment on any of the items, please do so. Councillor Hinton.
I don't want to waste too much time, I've been ill enough. But I wanted to say that I had really exciting updates via Philippa Ratcliffe and the mural to Boreham Way. She's been actually having video link meetings with people in Barama and just exchanging ideas. So that's really, really exciting. But that's it, that's all I want to say.
Can I just say something on the Fillmore about it?
Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, yes. We're moving forward, we just need, we had a quote to restore the Fillmore fountain, which is great. And then we were told by the town clerk we do actually need another 2 quotes. So we are waiting on 2 additional quotes, and once we've got those in, then it will be, hopefully, then it will be brought to Bloom, I believe. Yeah, I think it will go to Bloom. And then hopefully, we can get something done by the summer with that, so.
Councillor Edwards.
Is this done by these people that we've gone out to? Are they stonemasons?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first one's DJ's, Henley, and they've worked on Fillmore before, and the other 2 were recommended by, not recommended, they were by the town clerk. And I think, have you used them before, town clerk? Or?
I have used one of them before, yes.
Yeah, so they.
Is that bringing it back to its former glory, like all the lettering which is in it, and replacing the stone which is broken?
Yeah. But it won't be fully working as in automatic.
No,
because that is something completely different, and obviously there's a bigger cost involved in that. So this is really just to restore it, to clean it up, to make it look how it should look.
Yeah, because it's part of Henley heritage.
Well, it is, and it deserves
it,
yeah.
Certainly is. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm talking about Barama Way. I had a call from Jennywood, actually, not Barrywood, but Jennywood. Apparently we've got a missing brick down Barama Way, and it's looking very, very scruffy. So, as part, I know Philippa's obviously looking at street art and things like that. I do think we've got a grot spot, as it were, that needs to be looked at. If there's a missing brick in the surface, then that is a trip hazard, and that area of town used to look quite great, so I'm surprised it's fallen into disrepair. I suspect it's because the cinema hasn't been open, but quite possibly.
I was about to say, Mel, the ex-manager, used to look after it all the time, she's now obviously moved on.
Yeah, but a missing brick needs to be sorted out.
They've not been there, but it's not our responsibility.
No,
It is, no, Barama Way is our responsibility.
I thought it was private.
No, I think it's owned by the town council, I believe.
Is it?
I'm not sure.
I thought it was fun.
It's certainly not owned by the
If
town
it
council.
is, it's the first I've heard of it.
Okay, I might be wrong, but we've got a missing brick, that's all I say.
And that shop at the
It's
side.
far more likely to be district council, it's to be Highwood, it's district council roadside.
Okay, yeah, fine.
It's certainly not owned by
I stand corrected, we've got a missing brick.
I can't remember.
So it should be reported on Fix My Street.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That go on with the
Sorry,
rest of
Councillor
the
Lamb.
22,000.
Madam Mayor.
What are we doing about actually spelling it correctly?
I think it is.
No, it's not.
We did discuss that, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought
Is it not being
was going
changed?
on the
I don't know,
agenda.
it says Baroma instead of Barama.
Yeah.
I thought we'd agreed, I think that.
But I questioned this recently, did I question Unity, or? I can't remember, there was a reason for it, it's got two different spellings.
With Helen, I'm not quite sure if she had
I think
contacted
it
anyone.
had two different spellings at the time because no one was quite sure what was the accepted one. But that was a long time ago, and now there is an accepted one, and we should switch to it because we chose wrong.
I think it was just a mistake. I've never seen it spelled that way.
Oh, really?
In any other place or time. So it was just done wrong 20 years ago when Waitrose was built, and we should write to the district council and ask them to replace the street sign. It's as simple as that, really. I think.
Should I just
Can we do
email
that?
an officer, would that not be just?
If you have to work with an officer, that would be even better, probably. If they want a formal, then 6 months is not here nor there.
Districts are a lot more agreeable these days, I'm sure that's.
Yeah.
No, I wonder why.
Yeah, well, they've got a well-run regime.
Kelly's on the case.
And on that note, I think I'm going to close this meeting now. Thank you, everybody.